Good day, future LPTs. Welcome back to Gurong Pinoy review session for English majors. Today we are going to rationalize set 11 composed of 50 questions. I am your English major coach. I am Professor Paul Hiranio, a faculty member of the University of San Agustin, and I finished my bachelor's degree in secondary education major in English at West Visayas State University in Iloilo City. I have a master's degree in English as a second language from the University of the Philippines, UP. And I'm currently finishing my Juris Doctor degree at the College of Law of the University of San Agustin. I have been teaching English for 18 years and I have been a lecturer for 9 years. Okay, let's start. The sounds T, P, K are aspirated as an initial sound when they are followed by a stressed syllable, B, an unstressed syllable, C, two syllables, D, three syllables. The correct answer is letter A, when they are followed by a stressed syllable, called voiceless stops. No, they are plosives. They are aspirated because they are produced with an accompanying forceful expulsion of air. All voiceless stops, no? P, T, K, are aspirated in initial position in stressed syllables. Aspiration can occur at the beginning of a word, pit, cat, at the beginning of a stressed syllable, a park, a tire. In English, aspirations do not come at the end of the word. Now let's go to question number 2. Which of the following religious personalities prominently figures in Spanish literature? A, Mary, B, Abraham, C, Saint Peter, D, Jesus Christ. Again, which of the following religious personalities prominently figures in Spanish literature? A, Mary, B, Abraham, C, Saint Peter, D, Jesus Christ. The correct answer is Mary. Mary prominently figures in Spanish literature. Mary is the human mother of Jesus Christ, and Spanish literature is the body of literary works produced in Spain. Well, Alfonso, called the father of Castilian prose, compiled early Spain's greatest collection of medieval poetry and music, the Cantigas de Santa Maria, or Songs to Saint Mary in Galician. The Cantigas de Santa Maria, or Songs to Saint Mary, is one of the largest collections of monophonic or solo songs from the Middle Ages and is characterized by the mention of the Virgin Mary in every song, while every 10th song is a hymn. Now let's go to El Cid, the national epic of Spain. El Cid was a devotee of the Virgin Mary. Again, El Cid was a devotee of the Virgin Mary. According to the epic, El Cid prayed to Virgin Mary at the Church of Santa Maria in Burgos before he departed on his forced exile following his banishment by King Alfonso VI of Castile Leon. Question number 3, the dialogues in a play are usually A, scripted, B, unplanned, C, shortened, D, spoken ad lib. Again, the dialogues in a play are usually A, scripted, B, unplanned, C, shortened, D, spoken ad lib. The correct answer is letter A, scripted. The dialogues in a play are usually scripted. That is why a play has a script. Now, in writing a play script, your script should include the setting, the dialogue, and actions that take place throughout the play. In case the actor or the actor forgets the line or the lines, then the prompter who is seated in front supplies a forgotten word or line. Now let's go to question number 4. It refers to consistent and rather enduring tendencies or preferences within an individual that characterize a pattern in a person's thinking or feeling. A, appreciative transfer. B, process. C, strategy. D, style. Again, it refers to consistent and rather enduring tendencies or preferences within an individual that characterize a pattern in a person's thinking or feeling. A, appreciative transfer. B, process. C, strategy. D, style. The correct answer is letter D, style. This is the definition of style by Brown. Brown 2002, no, defines style as a term that refers to consistent and rather enduring tendencies or preferences within an individual. Brown asserts that learning styles serve as relatively stable indicators of how learners perceive, interact with, and respond to the learning environment. And number five, it is breaking or dividing an utterance into breath units or thought groups. A, articulating. B, phrasing. C, uttering. D, pronouncing. Again, it is breaking or dividing an utterance into breath units or thought groups. A, articulating. B, phrasing. C, uttering. D, pronouncing. The correct answer is letter B, phrasing. Phrasing is used to achieve rhythm in your speech. In phrasing, you divide an utterance into breath units or thought groups. Utterances may be broken into phrases or thought units. Each unit contains words that belong together because they are closely related and are set off from the rest by a pause. Words and syllables in such phrases are blended into one another. So phrasing is done for three purposes. One, to catch one's breath. Second, to make meaning clear. And third, to emphasize an idea. Again, this theory of learning, language, and literacy views children as having the ability to organize and integrate information in schemata. A, interactive. B, constructivist. C, reader response. D, social linguistic. The correct answer is letter B, constructivist. The constructivist theory of learning language. Constructivism is used to explain how people know what they know. The basic idea is that problem solving is at the heart of learning, thinking, and development. Constructivism is the theory that says learners construct knowledge rather than just passively take in information. As people experience the world and reflect upon those experiences, they build their own representations and incorporate new information into their pre existing knowledge or schemas. Question number 7. Audiolingualism was a reaction to the blank and its lack of emphasis on oral skills. A, cognitive approach. B, affective humanistic approach. C, comprehension based approach. D, reading approach. The correct answer is letter D, reading approach. So audiolingualism was a reaction to the reading approach. Audiolingualism prioritizes speaking and listening over reading and writing, which is opposed to the concept of the reading approach. While in reading approach, students can know much vocabulary because they have to read the passage. Students focus on what they are studying because they only learn grammar. In the reading approach, only grammar useful for reading comprehension is taught. Vocabulary is controlled and then expanded. Translation is more respectable. Reading comprehension is emphasized, and the teacher does not need to have a good oral proficiency in the second language, in L2. Question number 8. The famous Bengali writer of Shrikant and Charistrahin, which were serialized on television. A, Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay. B. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. C. Ayarbata. D. K.M. Munshi. Correct answer. This is Indian literature, Bengali literature. Correct answer is letter A. Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay. Bengali literature. He was a Bengali writer. The Bengal people in the Bengal language. Okay, the language and the people come from the Bengal region of Indian subcontinent. The Bengali language is the most widely spoken language of Bangladesh and the second most widely spoken of the many languages of India after Hindi. So Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay was a Bengali novelist and short story writer of the early 20th century. Number 9, created from two short stories, Mrs. Dalloway in Bond Street and the unfinished The Prime Minister. Mrs. Dalloway's story is of Clarissa's preparations for a party of which she is to be hostess. With the interior perspective of the novel, the story travels forwards and back in time and in and out of the characters' minds to construct a complete image of Clarissa's life and of the interwar social structure. Who wrote it? A. Marcel Proust. B. Philip Roth. C. Salman Rushdie. D. Virginia Woolf. Again, created from two short stories, Miss Dalloway in Bond Street and the unfinished The Prime Minister. Miss Dalloway's story is of Clarissa's preparations for a party of which she is to be the hostess. With the interior perspective of the novel, the story travels forwards and back in time and in and out of the characters' minds to construct a complete image of Clarissa's life and of the interwar social structure. Who wrote it? A. Marcel Proust. B. Philip Roth. C. Salman Rushdie. D. Virginia Woolf. The correct answer is letter D. Virginia Woolf. Virginia Woolf was an English writer considered one of the most important modernist 20th century authors. She was a pioneer in the use of stream of consciousness as a narrative device. It says here, with the interior perspective of the novel, the story travels forwards and back in time and in and out of the characters' minds. So a literary, this is a narrative device called stream of consciousness. So Virginia Woolf. Mrs. Dalloway is a novel by Virginia Woolf published in 1925. It examines one day in the life of Clarissa Dalloway, an upper class Londoner married to a member of parliament. Mrs. Dalloway is essentially plotless. What action there is takes place mainly in the character's consciousness. That's why we have the term stream of consciousness. Number 10, which of the following refers to the language learned after the native language? A. Second language. B. Lingua franca. C. Dialect. D. Idiolect. Again, which of the following refers to the language learned after the native language, the native tongue? A. Second language. B. Lingua franca. C. Dialect. D. Idiolect. The correct answer is letter A. Second language or L2. Your second language or L2 is any language that a person uses other than his first or native language, his or her first or native language. Contemporary linguists and educators commonly use the term L1 to refer to a first or native language and the term L2 to refer to a second language or a foreign language that is being studied. One of the earliest literary texts was a Sumerian poem called the Epic of Gilgamesh. What writing system was used to first record this epic poem? A. Phoenician. B. Latin. C. Cuneiform. D. Hieroglyphics. Again, one of the earliest literary texts was the Sumerian poem called the Epic of Gilgamesh. What writing system was used to first record this epic poem? A. Phoenician. B. Latin. C. Cuneiform. D. Hieroglyphics. Correct answer is cuneiform. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an ancient Mesopotamian epic. It follows the story of Gilgamesh, the mythological hero king of Uruk, and his half wild friend Enkidu, as they undertake a series of dangerous quests and adventures. That's the Epic of Gilgamesh. Cuneiform is a system of writing first developed by the ancient Sumerians of Mesopotamia, 3500 to 3000 BCE. It is considered the most significant among the many cultural contributions of the Sumerians and the greatest among those of the Sumerian city of Uruk, which advanced the writing of cuneiform 3200 BCE. Number 12, reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. This is an example of a fashionable and balanced sentence, packed tight with ideas shown in the essay of A. Richard Steele, B. Joseph Addison, C. Michel de Montaigne, D. Francis Bacon. Again, reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. This is an example of a fashionable and balanced sentence, packed tight with ideas shown in the essay of A. Richard Steele, B. Joseph Addison, C. Michel de Montaigne, D. Francis Bacon. The correct answer is Francis Bacon. Reading makes a full man. What does it mean? It refers to the notion that by reading, one is able to fill the mind with knowledge pertaining to a variety of topics. Francis Bacon was an English lawyer, statesman, essayist, historian, intellectual reformer, philosopher, and champion of modern science. Question number 13, yellow journalism refers to A, the color of the paper used for early newspapers. B, a style of newspaper using loud headlines, sensational stories, and lavish pictures, often faked. C, newspapers published in other countries. D, children's newspapers. Again, yellow journalism refers to A, the color of the paper used for early newspapers. B, a style of newspaper using loud headlines, sensational stories, and lavish pictures, often faked. C, newspapers published in other countries. D, children's newspapers. The correct answer is B, yellow journalism refers to a style of newspaper using loud headlines, sensational stories, and lavish pictures, often faked. Yellow journalism uses sensationalism and exaggeration to attract readers. So we have here loud headlines. Example, Mrs. Pinugutan ng Ari ang mister. No, we see headlines like this, especially in tabloids, right? Sensational stories, especially about sex and death, and lavish pictures, no, pictures of sexy women. So yellow journalism is also called tabloid journalism. Number 14, he is known for excellence of characterization, swiftness of narrative, and clarity of style. A, Guy de Maupassant. B, Ralph Waldo Emerson. C, George Bernard Shaw. D, Edgar Allan Poe. The correct answer is letter C, George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw was an Irish playwright. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1925. One of his masterpieces is Pygmalion. The play provides an opportunity to study characterization. Number 15, what is semiotics? A, the study of music. B, the study of buildings. C, the study of human communication. D, the study of disability. E, the study of memory. Again, what is semiotics? A, the study of music. B, the study of buildings. C, the study of human communication. D, the study of disability. And E, the study of memory. Correct answer is, of course, letter C, the study of human communication. Semiotics is an investigation into how meaning is created and how meaning is communicated. Okay, number 16, this novel written by John Steinbeck shows the Great Depression in America, where it traces the migration of an Oklahoma Dust Bowl family to California and their subsequent hardships as migrant farm workers. A, the Kenyon Review. B, the Great Gatsby. C, the Sound and the Fury. D, the Grapes of Wrath. Again, this novel written by John Steinbeck shows the Great Depression in America, where it traces the migration of an Oklahoma Dust Bowl family to California and their subsequent hardships as migrant farm workers. A, the Kenyon Review. B, the Great Gatsby. C, the Sound and the Fury. D, the Grapes of Wrath. The correct answer is letter D, the Grapes of Wrath. John Steinbeck was an American author and the 1962 Nobel Prize winner in literature for his realistic and imaginative writings, combining as they do sympathetic humor and keen social perception. The Grapes of Wrath, the best known novel by John Steinbeck, published in 1939. It evokes the harshness of the Great Depression and arouses sympathy for the struggles of migrant farm workers. The book came to be regarded as an American classic. The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, 1939. Number 17, today we call any young man who is extremely handsome a Perseus, B, a Hercules, C, an Adonis, D, a Jason. Again, today we call any young man who is extremely handsome a Perseus, B, a Hercules, C, an Adonis, D, a Jason. The correct answer is letter C, an Adonis. Adonis was a youth of remarkable beauty in Greek mythology. He was the favorite of the goddess Aphrodite. Number 18, it is Dante's birthplace and incidentally the birthplace of the Renaissance as well. A, Milan, G, Rome, D, Florence. Again, it is Dante's birthplace and incidentally the birthplace of the Renaissance as well. Correct answer is Florence. Florence is the birthplace of Dante and the birthplace of the Renaissance as well. Dante was an Italian writer known for his La Divina Commedia or the Divine Comedy, a landmark in Italian literature and among the greatest works of all medieval European literature. Dante was born in Florence. Florence was a center of medieval European trade and finance and one of the wealthiest cities of that era. It is considered by many academics to have been the birthplace of the Renaissance and has been called the Athens of the Middle Ages. Florence, Italy. Number 19, in Roman mythology, she is the chief goddess, closely resembling the Greek Hera. It was connected with all aspects of the life of women, most particularly married life. A, Demeter. B, Juno. C, Ceres. D, Athena. Again, in Roman mythology, she is the chief goddess, closely resembling the Greek Hera, and was connected with all aspects of the life of women, most particularly married life. A, Demeter. B, Juno. C, Ceres. D, Athena. Correct answer is Juno. Juno was the wife of Jupiter in Roman mythology. Juno is the Roman equivalent of Hera, the queen of the gods, in Greek mythology. And number 20, this strategy involves breaking the words into their component parts to figure out their meaning. A, brainstorming. B, structural analysis. C, word mapping. D, contextual guessing strategy. Again, this strategy involves breaking the words into their component parts to figure out their meaning. A, brainstorming. B, structural analysis. C, word mapping. D, contextual guessing strategy. The correct answer is letter B, structural analysis. If you don't know the meaning of a word, aside from looking the word up in a dictionary, you can also do structural analysis. You break a word into its component parts. For example, the word pedestrian. Ped means foot. That's why we have pedal, pedestal, pedicure. So ped means foot, and ian means person. So foot, person. This leads us to the meaning of the word pedestrian. A pedestrian is somebody who is walking along a road or street. Number 21, Gothic architecture is known for its A, round domes, B, height, C, pointed arches, D, decorated ceilings. Again, Gothic architecture is known for its A, round domes, B, height, C, pointed arches, D, decorated ceilings. The correct answer is letter C, pointed. Gothic churches have pointed churches, flying buttresses. Mind you, this is a lead question. Although the question is about Gothic architecture, it came out in the lead. Gothic architecture is a European style of architecture. It values height and exhibits an intricate and delicate aesthetic. The most fundamental element of the Gothic style of architecture is the pointed arch, which was likely borrowed from Islamic architecture that would have been seen in Spain at this time. Number 22, which of the following sentences shows zero conditional? A plant dies if you do not water it. B, if I find her address, I will send her an invitation. C, he would fly across the harbor if he were a bird. D, if I had gone to the supermarket, I could have bought some bread. Again, which of the following sentences shows zero conditional? A plant dies if you do not water it. B, if I find her address, I will send her an invitation. C, he would fly across the harbor if he were a bird. D, if I had gone to the supermarket, I could have bought some bread. Zero conditional is used to talk about facts or situations which are always true. So the correct answer is letter A. A plant dies if you do not water it. This is a fact. This is a scientific fact, and it's always true that if you do not water your plant, it dies. No? So the structure is if I do, it does, right? So present perfect, present simple present plus simple present. No, a plant dies, simple present. If you do not water it, simple present. In other words, you use simple present in the if clause and simple present in the main clause. So a plant dies, simple present, main clause. If you do not water it, simple present, if clause. There, if plus present simple, present simple. To talk about things that are always true, like a scientific fact. If you freeze water, it turns into ice. We don't say it will turn into ice. Simple present or present simple. And if you heat water at 100 degrees, it boils. Question number 23. Which of the following terms describes the subject matter, style, tone, and attitude of the literature of ancient Greece and Rome? A. Naturalism. B. Classicism. C. Realism. D. Romanticism. Again, which of the following terms describes the subject matter, style, tone, and attitude of the literature of ancient Greece and Rome? A. Naturalism. B. Classicism. C. Realism. D. Romanticism. The correct answer is letter B. Classicism. Classicism, in its purest form, is an aesthetic attitude based on the culture, art, and literature of ancient Greece and Rome. Historically, the periods most associated with classicism are the 5th and 4th centuries BC in Greece with writers such as Aristotle and Sophocles, the 1st century BC and 1st century AD in Rome with writers such as Cicero and Virgil. In its varying formulations, classicism affirms the superiority of balance and rationality over impulse and emotion. Number 24, what is the literal translation of the word literature? A. Human expression. B. Words from the heart. C. Beautiful language. D. Acquaintance with letters. Again, what is the literal translation of the word literature? A. Human expression. B. Words from the heart. C. Beautiful language. D. Acquaintance with letters. Correct answer is letter D. Acquaintance with letters. This is etymology. Literature, Latin word litera, which means letter, is a body of literary productions, either oral, written, or visual, containing imaginative language that realistically portrays thoughts, emotions, and experiences of the human condition. And 25, which book in the New Testament includes a vision of the end of the world in the second coming of Jesus? A. Colossians. B. The book of Revelation. C. Hebrews. D. Epistle of James. Which book in the New Testament includes a vision of the end of the world and the second coming of Jesus? The correct answer is B. Book of Revelation. It is also called the Apocalypse of John. So, what is the purpose of the book of Revelation here? John writes to encourage the faithful to resist staunchly the demands of emperor worship. He informs his readers that the final showdown between God and Satan is imminent. Satan will increase his persecution of believers, but they must stand fast even to death. They are sealed against any spiritual harm and will soon be vindicated when Christ returns, when the wicked are forever destroyed, and when God's people enter an eternity of glory and blessedness. Okay, number 26. Which of the following methods of data collection is not used in technical reports? A. Surveys. B. Experiments. C. Introspection. D. Library sources. Again, which of the following methods of data collection is not used in technical reports? A. Surveys. B. Experiments. C. Introspection. D. Library sources. The correct answer is introspection. Introspection is not used in technical reports. It is a process of internal self awareness. Introspection is the process of observing the operations of one's own mind with a view to discovering the laws that govern the mind. So it's hard to gather data out of this process. You know, you observe the operations of your own mind. Next, number 27. Who died at the end of Iliad? A. Hector. B. Menelaus. C. Achilles. D. Agamemnon. Again, who died at the end of Iliad? A. Hector. B. Menelaus. C. Achilles. D. Agamemnon. The correct answer is Hector. Hector died at the end of Iliad. Well, Iliad is an epic poem in 24 books, traditionally attributed to the ancient Greek poet Homer. It takes the Trojan War as its subject. Hector is the eldest of the Trojan king, is the eldest son, rather, of the Trojan king Priam and his queen Hecuba. In Homer's Iliad, Hector is represented as an ideal warrior and the mainstay of Troy. Achilles, distraught and wanting to avenge the death of his friend Patroclus, returns to the war and kills Hector. He drags Hector's body behind his chariot to the camp and then around the tomb of Patroclus. The Iliad ends with Hector's funeral, during which his body is buried with great honor. Number 27, number 28. Mark Twain's novels, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, are set in which river? A. The Amazon River. B. The Nile River. C. Rio Grande River. D. The Mississippi River. Again, Mark Twain's novels, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, are set in which river? A. Amazon River. B. Nile River. C. Rio Grande River. D. Mississippi River. The correct answer is letter D, Mississippi River. Well, Mark Twain is the pen name of Samuel Langhorne Clemens. He was lauded as the greatest humorist the United States has ever produced. And William Faulkner called him the father of American literature. Mark Twain spent most of his early life in Hannibal, Missouri, a town along the Mississippi River. And this river had a great influence on Mark Twain's life. 29. The editor found the news story not so entertaining. He found it full of A. Adverbs, B. Verbs, C. Adjectives, D. Pronouns. Again, the editor found the news story not so entertaining. He found it full of A. Adverbs, B. Verbs, C. Adjectives, D. Pronouns. The correct answer is letter C. Adjectives. Adjectives should not be allowed in newspapers unless they have something to say. So instead of adjectives, we use a lot of verbs or action words in a news story. Number 30, a language user needs to use the language not only correctly, but also appropriately. This is the main concept of which linguistic theory? A. Linguistic accuracy. B. Grammatical fluency. C. Universal language. D. Communicative competence. Again, a language user needs to use the language not only correctly, but also appropriately. This is the main concept of which linguistic theory? A. Linguistic accuracy. B. Grammatical fluency. C. Universal language. D. Communicative competence. The correct answer is letter D. Communicative competence. Communicative competence is a term coined by Dalheims, 1966, in reaction to Noam Chomsky's notion of linguistic competence. It is the intuitive, functional knowledge and control of the principles of language use. In other words, a language user needs to use the language not only correctly, but also appropriately. Okay, number 31. A paragraph is believed to have coherence if A, the sentences are independent, B, the sentences are all about the topic sentence, C, the sentences are correctly written in terms of grammar rules, D, the sentences are smoothly connected with each other through transitional devices. Again, a paragraph is believed to have coherence if A, the sentences are independent, B, the sentences are all about the topic sentence, C, the sentences are correctly written in terms of grammar rules, D, the sentences are smoothly connected with each other through transitional devices. The correct answer is letter D. The sentences are smoothly connected with each other through transitional devices. So these transitional devices include, however, furthermore, moreover, nevertheless, so on and so forth. Coherence in a piece of writing means that the reader can easily understand it. Coherence is about making everything flow smoothly. The reader can see that everything is logically arranged and connected, and relevance to the central focus of the essay is maintained throughout. Coherence. There's another term, cohesion. Number 32. Which of the following plays was not written by Sophocles? A. Ajax. B. Agamemnon. C. Antigone. D. Oedipus at Colonus. Which of the following plays was not written by Sophocles? The correct answer is letter B, Agamemnon. Why? Because it was written by Aeschylus. Aeschylus was an ancient Greek author of Greek tragedy. He is often described as the father of tragedy. So, Agamemnon was not written by Sophocles. It was written by Aeschylus. Agamemnon is the first play in a trilogy, the Oresteia, which is considered Aeschylus's greatest work and perhaps the greatest Greek tragedy, the Oresteia. Number 33, the period of American Renaissance gave birth to A. Realism, B. Romanticism, C. Naturalism, D. Transcendentalism. Again, the period of American Renaissance gave birth to A. Realism, B. Romanticism, C. Naturalism, D. Transcendentalism. The correct answer is letter B. Romanticism. The mid 19th century often has been considered an American Renaissance due to the number and quality of literary works produced. American Romanticism is an artistic, literary, and intellectual movement that originated in Europe toward the end of the 18th century. In most areas, it was at its peak in the approximate period from 1800 to 1840. American Romanticism emphasized emotion, individualism, and personality over rationalism and the constraints of religion. Number 34. How does Pierre de Ronsard characterize France without Mary Stuart in his From an Elegy to Mary Stuart, Queen of Scotland? A. Heaven without angels. B. A family without a mother. C. A language without idiomatic expressions. D. A beautiful meadow stripped of all its flowers. The correct answer is letter D. A beautiful meadow stripped of all its flowers. Pierre de Ronsard was a French poet. His own generation in France called him a prince of poets. Mary Stuart was a student and lifelong confidant of Pierre de Ronsard. And 35, the greatest advantage of the radio over the newspaper is its A, spoken words, B, informal style, C, immediacy, D, use of concrete images. Again, the greatest advantage of the radio over the newspaper is its A, spoken words, B, informal style, C, immediacy, D, use of concrete images. Correct answer is immediacy. When you say immediacy, it's occurring or done in real time. Unlike newspaper, which has to wait the next day because you have to print before the news gets delivered. In the radio, it's different because the news is reported right away. Okay, number 36, to use language creatively in rhyming, composing, poetry, writing, or speaking refers to the blank of language, A, referential function, B, directive function, C, imaginative function, D, metalinguistic function. Again, to use language creatively in rhyming, composing, poetry, writing, or speaking refers to the A, referential function of language, B, directive function of language, C, imaginative function of language, D, metalinguistic function of language. The correct answer is letter C, imaginative function of language. The imaginative function of language enables us to create or extend our own environment for humorous or aesthetic purposes. The spelling of aesthetic, Aesthetic, where the value derives from the way in which the language itself is used. Examples are telling jokes, constructing and communicating fantasies, creating metaphors or other figurative uses of language, or other figurative uses of language, rather, as well as attending plays or films and reading literary works such as novels, short stories, or poetry for enjoyment. That's the imaginative function of language. 37. Amanuensis originally meant A female warrior, B, a slave with secretarial duties, C, coarse herbs including pigweeds, D, deterioration of sight. The correct answer is letter B, a slave with secretarial duties. An amanuensis is a person employed to write or type what another dictates, or to copy what has been written by another. 38. The gunshot we hear becomes a car backfiring. The water we see in the road ahead is but a mirage. The chicken we thought we tasted turns out to be a rabbit. What does this imply? A, it is always wise to trust our senses. B, sensory information can be refined. C, our senses can and often do deceive us. D, sensory experience is one good way of obtaining information. The correct answer is letter C. Our senses can and often do deceive us. Yes, sometimes our senses do not give us accurate information. That is why in research, the use of the scientific method is very important. 39. When materials in the real world are brought to the classroom to expose learners' language in real use, the materials are considered A, suitable, B, appropriate, C, graded, D, authentic. The correct answer is authentic. Authentic materials, any materials which are not designed for learning and teaching purposes. I'm sorry, it's materials which are not designed for learning and teaching purposes. Example, magazines, newspaper, TV broadcasts, recorded real telephone conversation, and the like. Number 40, time is a pair of scissors and life a bolt of brocade. When the lost section is done, the scraps are committed to a bonfire. The key idea expressed in the stanza above is A, the transitoriness of life, B, beauty of life, C, destruction of beauty, D, the cruelty of time. The correct answer is letter D, the cruelty of time. It's from the poem Time is a Pair of Scissors by Ping Hishin. If you read the whole poem, it says that time cuts and time is an iron whip. It lashes off flowers. So sometimes time is cruel, the cruelty of time. Okay, number 41. Which of the following Shakespearean excerpts shows foreshadowing? A. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. B. To be or not to be? That is the question. See this above all, to thine own self be true. D. The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven. Foreshadowing, the correct answer is letter A. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. Yes, foreshadowing prepares you as far as the outcome of the story is concerned. Option A is taken from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. No, there's the word blood, the image of blood, grudge, hands unclean, mutiny. So these hints tell us that something bad will happen in the story. That is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which a writer gives an advance hint of what is to come later in the story to create dramatic tension. 42, this was a group of seven French writers who sought to liberate French poetry from medieval tradition. A. El Floridita. Letter B. The Pleiades. The Pleiade. C. The Inklings. D. The Dymock poets or the Dymock poets. The correct answer is letter B, the Pleiade or the Pleiades. Our hint is number 7. In Greek mythology, they are the 7 daughters of the Titan Atlas. The Pleiade or the Pleiades is a group of 16th century French Renaissance poets. 43. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. Who is the speaker here? A. A traveler. B. A dying man. C. A fisherman. D. A ship captain. The correct answer is a dying man. Sunset symbolizes death or approaching death. So a dying man. This is an excerpt from the poem Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Crossing the Bar is an 1889 poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It is considered that Tennyson wrote it in elegy. The narrator uses an extended metaphor to compare death with crossing the sandbar between the river of life with its outgoing flood and the ocean that lies beyond, or death, the boundless deep to which we return. 44. It is the study of pronunciation or correct pronunciation. A. Orthoepy. B. Philology. C. Orthography. D. Accentuation. The study of pronunciation or correct pronunciation is orthoepy. Orthoepy is the correct or accepted pronunciation of words. 45. What do you call one chair in the classroom which has been designated for students' use during sharing period? A. Reader's chair. B. Hot seat. C. Author's chair. D. Speaker's chair. The correct answer is letter C. Author's chair. An author's chair is a special chair designated for students to read the writing aloud to the class. Okay, number 46. Which of the following words contains an interfix? A. Outdoor. B. Benevolence. C. Microchip. D. Speedometer. Again, which of the following words contains an interfix? A. Outdoor. B. Benevolence. C. Microchip. D. Speedometer. Correct answer is letter D. Speedometer. Interfix. An interfix is an empty morph inserted between two morphemes in the process of word formation. So it is inserted between two morphemes. So speedometer, the two morphemes are speed and meter, and we insert the interfix O. That becomes speedometer. Question number 47. Somerset Maugham produced a powerful document in Human Ordeal entitled A. 2 Years, B. Between the Acts, C. The Waves, D. Of Human Bondage. The correct answer is letter D. Of Human Bondage. Somerset Maugham was an English novelist, playwright, and short story writer whose work is characterized by a clear, unadorned style, cosmopolitan settings, and a shrewd understanding of human nature. We pronounce his name Somerset Maugham. Of Human Bondage is a 1915 novel by Somerset Maugham. It is generally agreed to be his masterpiece and to be strongly autobiographical in nature, although Maugham stated, "This is a novel, not an autobiography. Though much in it is autobiographical, more is pure invention." Number 48. What is the best way to describe the relationship between the lords and vassals in the Spanish epic poem El Cid? A. Lords and vassals are expected to follow a certain code of conduct so that harmony and peace are maintained. B. The vassal swears fealty or fidelity to his lord, who in turn is understood to owe protection and justice to his vassal. C. The lord holds peace and oaths in service to his feudal vassal until the latter terminates the vassalage contract. The lords and vassals inhabit completely different social strata and have different standards for behavior and comportment. The correct answer is letter B. The vassal swears fidelity or fealty to his lord, who in turn is understood to owe protection and justice to his vassal. The vassal serves the lord, and the lord protects the vassal. 49. First published in 1851, this masterpiece of Herman Melville is, in Elizabeth Hardwick's words, the greatest novel in American literature. The saga of Captain Ahab and his monomaniacal pursuit of the white whale remains a peerless adventure story, but one full of mythic grandeur, poetic majesty, and symbolic power. A. In Search of Lost Time. B. Moby Dick. C. Don Quixote. D. Iliad. Correct answer is letter B. Moby Dick. Herman Melville was an American novelist, short story writer, and poet of the American Renaissance period. His masterpiece is the novel Moby Dick. 49, that's 50. What is the distinct characteristic of vowels? A. Friction is present in the vocal tract. B. There is little obstruction in the vocal tract. C. Air flows freely through through the nasal cavity. D. The vocal cord vibrates. Again, what is the distinct characteristic of vowels? A. Friction is present in the vocal tract. B. There is little obstruction in the vocal tract. C. Air flows freely through the nasal cavity. D. The vocal cord vibrates. The correct answer is letter B. There is little obstruction in in the vocal tract. A vowel is pronounced without any stricture or obstruction in the vocal tract. So that's it. Thank you for joining me in today's review session. See you next week for set 12. Have a nice day.